So for tonight's teardown, we're going to tear down this 1995 NEC PC-9821Xa12. This is a Japanese market specific machine. It was never sold here in America. I actually imported this one myself. And you can see it has two floppy drives here, 3 mode, 3.5 inch. That's not the original CD drive, since the original one had a rubber breakdown on the spindle. Reset switch is hidden down there along with power. But anyway, let's look at the back. You can see this definitely not US market. Is definitely JDM. Good position there. So first thing you might notice is there's a strange pass-through cable. And that's because this is a Voodoo Banshee Pci card in here. And because generally when you add a PCI GPU, it has the built-in base VGA. Well, this is not an IBM PC. It doesn't use VGA. It has its own built-in base video called PEGC instead of that. So when they designed this and added the PCI bus, they kind of anticipated you might do this. So if you look right here, the output from this Voodoo Banshee card is going into, if I can just disconnect this right here. I always hate these screws. There we go. You can see it's an input. And then it comes out here when the driver loads, it basically pokes a register that tells this to connect to this. So it can have switchable GPUs basically. Kind of impressive for 95 in a way. So anyway, warning sticker saying that for your safety this equipment should be grounded. That's actually the ground connection. Because in Japan at the time they used a separate ground wire. Don't know all the details, but that's the designated ground terminal. Parallel printer port. You can see this is a strange little, see here, high density connector. Serial port, it's right here. It's DB25 female. That's how these NEC machines always had it. That's just a regular standard PC pinout. Keyboard, mouse, proprietary. VGA out. There's a Scuzzy card in there. If we go up here, you're probably wondering what these funny looking cards are. And this is actually, these machines don't have ISA. They have, it's known as C-Bus instead. So I'll show you how these actually come out. And this particular C-Bus card is a NEC PC-9821-108. Let's see when we pull it out. It's just a 10 base. It's actually an NE 2000 clone, so that's the board. You can see there's the printed MAC address there. Yeah, PC-9801-108. This is just a generic NE 2000 basically. In fact, I'll just set it right here. And I'll take out the other C-Bus card in this machine so you can see it. You know, the older C-Bus cards actually had little ejection levers on them, but unfortunately these newer cards, by newer I mean mid-90s era, aren't like that. So this is the classic PC-9801-86 sound card featuring the good old Yamaha YM2608 FM operator type NA sound chip. And that's also the ROM on it. It's used for the basic extensions for it, I think. 2 Burr Brown PCM61 DACs. Actually, I think they're PCM61P, sorry. You can see right here. The camera will focus. Yeah, those are PCM61Ps. You can see that's custom NEC chip. That's the DAC for the FM chip, I think. I recall correctly, that's the I2S splitter that feeds the two mono DACs. And these weird things are actually analog ICs. They're actually made by NEC, and this board contains a lot of capacitors, and I'm really dreading recapping this thing, by the way. It's pretty bad. Dip switches for setting the focus there. Setting the IRQ and all that. So anyway, let's tear down. So on the back here we have one screw up top, and then on the sides of this machine, right here, two screws on each side. Then this a little bit. And then after taking the screws out, just kind of finagle this off. And bump the cherry bomb in the process. It's not a good idea. Alright, so see on the inside here you can see the PCI cards, and hook the VGA cable here. This card here is an IO Data GA-VDB16. It's basically just a 16 meg Voodoo Banshee card. It's special because this cable actually comes with it, because this card is actually designed to work in this machine. Like this model is actually mentioned on the box. And in here we have an IO Data SCU PCI. This is a ultra wide Scuzzy card, good old 53875 controller, like you find in many high-end systems of the mid to late 90s. Then on the other end of it we have, pull this out here, that is a Scuzzy 2SD version 6 with a 16 gig SD card. And now you can see this is the C-Bus card cage. The level 2 cache is, let's see if I can get a good shot. Wish I had some better lighting. Well, that's okay. I can just take this bracket right out. Just loosen this one screw here, another one here. This is the original mounting bracket for the 850 meg hard disk this machine originally came with, and look at all that Japanese on it. Alright, so here we have the L2 cache, which I believe on this machine is 256K. Yeah, they had a 512K module. It looks like, well, let's see if I can try pulling the camera at it right. Yeah, this is what the module looks like. It's NEC proprietary, although the usual manufacturers like Buffalo and IO Data made their own clones. Heat sinks right there. If we just take it out, this is just a standard socket 5 Intel Pentium 120 megahertz processor. Alright, so let's turn this around a little bit more towards this way. First thing we do here is zoom that out a little bit, make it easier to see. take off this bezel right here for the floppy drives. And this is where things get really, really weird. Because, can I get a good view on this? Maybe? Let's see if I can raise the camera height a little bit. Or actually just turn it over here. This is something I never knew existed until I actually got the field retrofit kit, the original NEC one for this machine, to install a second diskette drive. And look at this, it's a floppy splitter cable. Now how's that for odd? Anyway, with that out, we can then, we'll start with the second one because that's the one that was added after the fact. So there's one screw there that holds it in. Then you get these two up front. Oh, and back here are the two bird connectors. So here's the first drive. This is a custom special bid for NEC Sony drive. You can even see it's got all the 3.5 inchu Floppy disco Doraibo. That's what it says right there. Well, actually, it wouldn't say 3.5, but you know. Alright, so then we get out the upper drive. Wow, that is in there tight. Wow, I guess I've never unscrewed this drive. Wow, that took a lot of effort to get that out. Didn't strip it either. Nice. This drive is a little different. It's a Citizen, but I can't find the... Oh yeah, it's just OSDU. I remember that now. Alright, so... And after that, we have the CD-ROM drive. Which again, screws on the side. And in this case, it's just a generic tappy drive, nothing special about it. Although it is kind of picky if you want to get CD audio playback to work right so you can play Police Knots. Ask me how I know. Also, if you want to use the Pci card, that is a big concern. It took me quite a bit of time to figure that one out too. Unplug the power and CD audio cables. Alright. See if I can get a better view of the guts now. Wish I had some better lighting though. Like that might be a little bit better. So can we zoom out a little bit? Yep. Excellent. So now that we finally pulled this apart a little bit, this is the C-bus backplane. You can see the cards go in there. That's just a cover to prevent it from shorting out. You can see the CPU goes down there. And let's see. Let's get the power supply out next, which that's actually pretty tricky to do. So there's two screws back here that attach it to the chassis, but before you do that, if I recall correctly, yeah, you gotta get the power switch assembly out, that's right. So to do that, you have to, there's a few tabs on the front. Now, I don't know if these are prone to brittle plastics or not, just because mine is in such good shape, I don't know. But that may be a possible concern if you have one of these and try and get this off. As you can see, that's the bezel. It is, however, made in Japan. September 1995. Interestingly, it doesn't have a plastic. Man, was NEC making those themselves? Yeah, they probably were, knowing them. Alright, so the power switch on this machine, can't see it well. So let me drop the camera a little bit so you can see in there maybe. There's a screw at the bottom of the shaft. And if you get that out, if I remember right, then then the whole switch assembly just kind of comes out with the power supply. Screwed in pretty tight though. How did this come out last time? Do I need to? Probably do. Alright. So, back behind here, can't really see it in the video, but the drive cage is screwed on by a bunch of screws, and you gotta get those out to get the drive cage out so you can get this power switch out so you can get the power supply out. You can tell that this was kind of designed so that most maintenance could be done without having to go this far, because as you can see, the RAM's all the way over by the CPU and the yeah. And then there's one last screw that goes into a hole on the motherboard, actually. Alright, now that we're finally able to see a little more, you can see that's the floppy cable, CD-ROM ID. There's another ID port back there, but that's empty because I use Scuzzy for my hard disk. Ah, yes, now I remember why I needed to pull that out. because the power switch doesn't unscrew where I was trying to unscrew it. That is just what holds it to the bracket that holds the power switch in place, which has a screw that required me to take out that drive cage to get to. So now I gotta put that screw back in. Oh wait, I didn't take it out all the way, it's just loosened. That back in there. Then the whole switch assembly is just right there. Alright, so now that I've taken out the screws here and here, there are, I believe, 2 screws in the back. Get the last one out of here. Carefully over tightened these last time, I must have. See the ominous Japanese warnings on the power supply. See, this is a lot like most mid-90s OEM PC power supplies. Alright, now we can see a little more of the motherboard here. And there's the clock battery right there. I've replaced it. It's not the original, and yes, it is actually stuck there with foam tape. You can see IDE connectors down there, all that good stuff. So anyway, let's pull out the RAM. These are 72 pin SIMs. I have a total of 96 megs of RAM in this machine, and these are Buffalo. And yes, the very same Buffalo that makes routers. And this is the most interesting part about them, is this chip. This is a fake parity generator. So these are basically fake parity SIMs. And it's not like they even really tried to hide that fact. I mean, they pretty much just said they designed a... I've looked up the page for these, and they basically just designed a custom chip to do all this, and they were very upfront about this, and I'm guessing this was just cheaper. There's another one. Alright, and then you take out the C-bus cage by taking out 4 screws way at the bottom of it. I get a better shot. There we go. Was lifted out like such. Here is the C-bus backplane assembly, and you'll notice there are switches here, and that's because there are two versions of the C-bus pinout. The 20-bit address bus version and the 24-bit address bus version. That switch is actually used to select which version of the pinout is mapped out. And I just dropped all the screws that hold that back plane in. Oops. So here is the motherboard. This is an NEC G8VAZ. Let's see here, let me see if I can get a better angle so you can see some of the chips on it. Oh, I just took the camera with me. So, Intel Socket 5, VLSI Wildcat chipset. There's the Intel Flash ROM, Trident graphics chip for Windows. I think it does up to 1280 by 1024. But yeah, that's the PC-98 PEGC. That's basically the PC-98 South Bridge. And that's the PC-98 Super I/O, more or less. And there's a Crystal 4231 sound chip. That's just the front panel board. You can see flex cables. Same thing with the rear panel audio, keyboard, mouse. And I think that's about as far as I'm going to go. And thanks for watching, everyone.